All right, good morning, everyone. So, I actually don't have any headphones right now, so I'm gonna speak as loudly as I can. I apologize if I'm not loud enough. I'm trying my best. Go ahead now and complete your jump start silently and independently. You should have grabbed this on your way in, and you're going to read the little scenario and then answer the three questions, I believe it is. Make sure that your response is 3 sentences or more. If there is anything less than 3 sentences, I am not taking it. 3 sentences or more. Pause the video, complete the jump start, and then come back when you are finished. Okay? Awesome. Okay, today our skills are, main idea, supporting detail, and summarizing. So just a quick refresher on these three things. Main idea is the most important information in the text. We should already know this stuff. If not, it's okay because we're going to get there. Main idea usually appears in the beginning of the article and is usually stated in the topic sentence, which is ideally the first sentence of the paragraph. So again, these three things are main idea. Make sure you're writing these down in your guided notes. For supporting details, we know that supporting details come directly from the text. So that means that they should be in quotation marks. Directly from the text is supporting details. And these literally support or back the main idea. And then lastly, summary is just putting all those main ideas and supporting details together in a nice little paragraph. That's the summary. So again, make sure you have these down in your guided notes. This should be a refresher, so it should be real quick and easy. Our daily focus question is, should those convicted under the felony murder rule be classified as a felon even if they had no intention on committing murder? This is probably a lot. You probably have no idea what this is. It's okay because I didn't either. But by the end of this, you will be able to answer this question, okay? And you're going to answer this question in a book at the end of, this lesson, okay? So again, the question is, should those convicted under the felony murder rule be classified as a felon even if they had no intention on committing murder? Okay? So why are we talking about the felony murder rule? Well, I have another situation for y'all regarding a young black man. So this is Lakeith Smith, and he was 16 at the time. He's 18 years old now, so this was 2 years ago. He's from Alabama. He was convicted or found guilty of he was convicted for 30 years of the felony murder of 16-year-old Adante Washington. 15 years for burglary and 2 consecutive 10-year sentences for theft. So in total, he was sentenced to 65 years in prison. Okay. So why was Lakeith sentenced to prison, convicted for murder? Any of this? Let me tell you. So Lakeith Smith and 3 of his friends, Adante Washington included, decided one day they wanted to go rob somebody's house. They went to go rob the house. Everything was cool. When they left, Adante was shot and killed. I wonder what happened. No, I know what happened. So, I'm not going to get into that yet. But we see right here, Lakeith is smiling, right? Then if you look at these 2 quotes, one of them says, I don't think Mr. Smith will be smiling long when he gets to prison. This is from the Chief Assistant District Attorney. And then the next one says, when I called the case earlier, you said you ain't got time for this, so I don't know if you have time for this now. So the judge sounds to me like they don't really want to deal with Lakeith too much. So this is what happened. They went to go rob the house, right? I already said this. They went to go rob the house. And at the end of the day, Adante Washington, Lakeith's friend, was murdered. who murdered him. Turns out Lakeith was unarmed. So why did he go to prison for Adante Washington's murder? So he was unarmed. He was tried as an adult. And boom, an officer shot and killed Adante Washington. The officer shot and killed Adante Washington, and Lakeith went to prison for this. How does that even make sense? It didn't make sense to me either. However, once I continued to read, I found out why this happened to Lakeith Smith. Even though a police officer shot and killed his friend, he was convicted for the murder. This is why. In Alabama and a total of 46 states, there's a felony murder rule. And I pulled this large chunk directly from the law or the mandate, and it states it provides that when a person commits various crimes and in the course of and in furtherance of the crime another is killed, then the perpetrator is guilty of murder, a Class A felony, that is punishment of which is death or life imprisonment. So that's a lot of words. What does that mean? Excuse me. It means that if I'm committing a crime and anyone dies on the scene, I am responsible and can be sentenced to death or life in prison, even if I had no intentions on killing this person. If they die while I'm committing this other crime, then I am responsible for it. So what does it mean to be a felon? Once convicted as a felon, you lose your natural-born rights as an American citizen, such as the right to vote, to bear arms, to serve on a jury, or to be a notary. So, this is the lot. So, the felony murder rule in Alabama and 45 other states state that if I'm committing a murder and anyone dies on the scene, because I decided I wanted to commit that first murder, I'm responsible for their death too, regardless or not if I'm the person that killed them. So that goes back to your jump start, right? If I see a sign in a store that says if you break it, you buy it, and my friend breaks it, should I be responsible even though they broke it? Right. So that's a lot. I'm going to bring you to Blake Layman, though. So usually this is where I go, oh, we have a black man and this happened to him. What happened to his white counterpart? Surprisingly, in this case regarding this felony murder rule, this happens quite a bit where people are found guilty for murder even though they weren't the person who actually killed them. So Blake Layman, same thing. He and four of his friends, decided they wanted to go rob somebody's house, and they thought that no one was home. Turns out that the homeowner and his wife were home. They were upstairs, and they heard someone in their home. So they came downstairs with their gun and started shooting. Blake Layman was Blake Layman was shot in the leg, and his friend Denzel Johnson was shot and killed. And because Blake decided that he wanted to break into this man's house anyway, he was charged for the murder. He was found guilty of his friend Denzel Johnson. He was sentenced to 55 years in prison, and again, Layman was completely unarmed. So this sounds like pretty absurd to me. His mom says stealing and killing are two different things. In this case, they took stealing and turned it into killing. My son doesn't deserve that. I completely agree personally. Like, he was not the person who pulled the trigger. So I feel like he should not have should not have been going to jail for murder, right? Just like Lakeith Smith. Especially when the officer was the person that killed his friend. So I forgot to mention in this case, they went to rob the house. They got out of the house, and once they got out of the house, they were approached by police. Adante pulled out a gun and pointed it at the officers. There were shots fired from both parties, and Adante ended up dead at the end of it. So Adante was armed. He did pull out his gun. He did shoot at the officers, and in return, he was killed. Still, Lakeith never had a gun. He never shot a gun in this instance, and he still went to jail for this. All while being tried as an adult. Excuse me. So this is a lot. We're going to read some more about both of these cases. And we are going to go back through the video if you need to, because I know this was a lot of information. Make sure that you have all these terms down on your guided notes and everything. And once you have all that, once you're clear on what just happened in this video, you're going to read the articles on both Layman and Lakeith Smith. You are annotating. We already know that we annotate. And then we're going to complete a main idea and supporting detail graphic organizer for both the articles, and also complete a summary for both the articles. Your summary must be 5 sentences or longer. Okay? Then once you finish all that, you're going to answer the DFQ in your notebook. And excuse me, once all this is finished for this lesson, you're going to go back and finish the archetype assignment that we were working on last week. So if you have any questions, go back through the video first because it may have been answered. If it wasn't answered, raise your hand and one of us will get to you as soon as possible. Okay? Go ahead and get started.